What if the next big software update on your Samsung phone isn't actually that big at all? While many users are still waiting for a stable version of One UI 7, Samsung has already started preparing the launch of One UI 8. But early signs suggest that this version might not bring a lot of new stuff. In fact, it seems like a slightly improved version of One UI 7 just with a fresh label. Normally, Samsung rolls out a smaller update like 7.1 before jumping to the next full version. But this time, they're skipping straight from 7.0 to 8.0. That might sound exciting at first, but when we look at what's actually new in One UI 8, it's not all that different from what was already hidden inside One UI 7. Samsung had included a bunch of features in version 7 that they simply chose not to activate, and now they're switching them on in One UI 8, giving the impression of something new. Take the feature called Now Brief, for example. It was already sitting inside the software code for devices that support it, but it was never made available. Now, with One UI 8, Samsung is finally unlocking it, mostly on the newer flagship models launched this year. So instead of being something completely new, it feels like Samsung is just flipping the switch on features that were there all along. Another feature coming with One UI 8 is support for log video recording in the built-in camera app. This was first introduced on the Galaxy S25 series, but now it's being extended to the Galaxy S24 phones as well. And just like with Now Brief, it's the kind of thing Samsung probably could have added earlier, but chose not to. Still, there are a few changes that feel a bit more fresh. One example is the update to Quick Share. Instead of the usual layout, the sharing menu now has two tabs, one for sending and another for receiving. You can now make your device visible only when needed, which is much better than the older method where your device stayed visible either all the time or for just a short while. When it comes to the design though, don't expect anything too different. The user interface looks almost the same as before. There is a tiny change in the quick settings panel. Some buttons are now shaded, but that look wasn't consistent across all the test phones. That makes it unclear whether it's an actual feature or just a glitch. Some Samsung apps are also getting minor visual changes. In the Gallery app, for example, when you tap on the menu, the options now appear inside circles. It looks a little cleaner, but functionally, nothing really changes. Underneath everything, One UI 8 runs on Android 16. That means you might see some improvements in performance and system-level features. However, many of Android 16's new features won't feel new to Samsung users. For instance, Android 16 brings lock screen widgets, but Galaxy users already have that with One UI 7. So most of these changes might not feel very noticeable if you've been using a recent Samsung phone. As for when One UI 8 will arrive, Samsung is expected to launch it first on the upcoming Galaxy Z Fold 7 and Z Flip 7. After that, it should start rolling out to other Galaxy models within the next few months. But don't count on a beta version. There's talk that Samsung might skip public testing this time. Right now, One UI 8 is still being tested internally, so there's a chance we'll see more updates before it officially releases. But since One UI 7 brought in major changes and still has unresolved issues, like problems with the lock screen, secure folder, and good lock features, it's hard to say if Samsung will have enough time to polish One UI 8 before launch. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more tech updates. Is Samsung rushing into the next big update while still struggling with the last one? While millions of users are still waiting on the buggy and delayed One UI 7, Samsung is already working on One UI 8. But here's the twist. This new version might not be all that new. From what we've seen so far, One UI 8 could just be One UI 7.1 with a new name. Let's break it down. Samsung usually pushes out a point update like 7.1 before jumping to a full version like 8.0, but this year, they're skipping that. Instead of One UI 7.1, they're going straight to One UI 8. And based on early builds tested on the Galaxy Z Flip 6, it looks like most of the features in One UI 8 were already coded into One UI 7. They just weren't turned on yet. One of the best examples is Now Brief. It's a feature that's already in the software on supported devices, but Samsung never enabled it. Now with One UI 8, it's finally becoming available, especially on newer flagships launched this year. So in a way, it feels like Samsung is just unlocking features they were already holding back. Another addition in One UI 8 is log video recording support inside the camera app. This was first introduced on the Galaxy S25 series, but now it's being made available for the Galaxy S24 series as well. But again, this is something that probably could have been added to One UI 7 if Samsung really wanted to. Now that doesn't mean everything is recycled. There are a few actual changes worth mentioning. For instance, Quick Share is getting a refresh. The sharing menu is now split into two tabs, Send and Receive. You can switch the Receive tab and make your device visible temporarily, which is way better than the older options that made your device visible either all the time or for just 10 minutes. Other than that, the user interface in One UI 8 is nearly identical to One UI 7. There is a small visual change in the quick settings panel. Some buttons are now shaded, but this change wasn't consistent across all test devices, so it might actually be a bug instead of a feature. Even some of Samsung's apps are getting minor tweaks. In the Gallery app, when you tap the menu button, the options are now surrounded by circles. It looks a bit nicer, but that's about it. The actual functions remain the same. Under the hood, One UI 8 is based on Android 16, so there are going to be some performance and system level changes. But many of the new features from Android 16 won't matter for Samsung users. Why? Because Samsung already offers a lot of them. For example, Android 16 adds lock screen widgets, but Samsung users already have that with One UI 7. So a lot of what's new in Android 16 might feel like old news to Galaxy phone owners. So the big question is, when is One UI 8 actually coming? Samsung is expected to launch One UI 8 on the Galaxy Z Fold 7 and Z Flip 7, which are coming soon. The update could also roll out to current Galaxy devices within the next 3 months. But don't get your hopes up for a beta program. There's talk that Samsung may skip that altogether. At the moment, One UI 8 is still being tested, so we could see more updates before the final version arrives. Did you hear the rumor that Samsung might put a weaker chip in the Galaxy Z Fold 7? Well, it turns out that's not happening. Samsung is going all in with the full 8-core Snapdragon 8 Elite processor, the exact same one that's powering the Galaxy S25 lineup. That's now confirmed thanks to a benchmark result that puts all the earlier doubts to rest. Let's take a quick look at where this rumor even started. There were talks online about Samsung possibly using a 7-core version of the Snapdragon 8 Elite in the Z Fold 7. The reason behind this: foldable phones usually deal with more heat buildup because of their design, so some believe Samsung might go with a slightly toned down chip to avoid overheating. And to be fair, that idea wasn't completely wild. There is a version of the Snapdragon 8 Elite with 7 cores, specifically made for foldable phones. So when that rumor started, it made sense to some people. Using a chip that runs a little cooler could help with battery life and thermal control. But here's the problem. When you're spending almost $1,800 or more on a phone, you don't want something toned down. You want top-tier performance. Anything less would feel like a downgrade. People expect the Z Fold series to deliver the best of everything, and a weaker processor would definitely fall short. Thankfully, we now have proof that Samsung is not cutting corners here. The Galaxy Z Fold 7 will have the same 8-core Snapdragon 8 Elite for Galaxy version used in the Galaxy S25 series. That means high clock speeds, strong graphics, smooth multitasking, and fast performance. Everything you'd expect from a premium flagship. On top of that, the phone will also come with One UI 8 pre-installed, running on Android 16. So you're not just getting top hardware, you're also getting Samsung's newest software right out of the box. The combination of fast performance and updated software will give users the full premium experience. Now, looking back at that earlier rumor, it's clear that it was never based on anything solid. There were no leaks from trusted sources, and Samsung never hinted at using the 7-core chip. It was just the rumor mill doing what it does best, spinning stories. Still, it's understandable why people were concerned. Foldable phones are still relatively new, and they often face design challenges that regular smartphones don't. Cooling is one of those problems. So, when talk about a weaker chip started making the rounds, it raised a lot of questions. But Samsung has now cleared those doubts without saying a word, just by showing what's actually in the device. The Galaxy Z Fold 7 is expected to launch later this summer. Along with it, Samsung will also be introducing the Galaxy Z Flip 7 and the new Galaxy Z Flip FE, a more affordable clamshell-style foldable. It looks like Samsung is working hard to cover every price range with its upcoming foldables. So if you were worried that the Galaxy Z Fold 7 might come with something less powerful, you don't need to anymore. Samsung is sticking with its best chip, and that's exactly what people want to see in a phone that's expected to cost over $2,000, especially if import taxes go up later this year. In short, the full-strength Snapdragon 8 Elite is confirmed for the Galaxy Z Fold 7. No downgrade, no performance gap, and no missing features, just a powerful foldable phone that delivers on all fronts. If you found this video helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more updates on Samsung, foldables, and all the latest tech news. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.